welcome to BCC Virtual Racing and the last race of the season. The season, and in fact the grand finale in the league with Barry and Sam tied currently on first place. The course tonight, castle to castle, 22.4 kilometers long and 139 meters of climbing. And as of course you all know by now, this is a handicap race with all riders scheduled to complete the course at the same time, meaning that the slowest rider goes off first, the fastest rider goes off at the end. And the first of those riders going off will be Andy Telford in 1 minute 35 seconds approximately. A fairly flat course, 139 meters of climbing. There is one climb of 3.2 kilometers long and about 2.8%. And I'm just looking down the field now just to see the number of riders gathering on the start line. About 43 in total. Can't see 43 here though. So not sure what's going on as yet. My keyboard doesn't work very well. So let's have a look. Oh, there they are. So quite a few more than I had anticipated, and that yellow beacon is above Mark Shannon, so he's easy to follow if you are placed next to him in the lineup. And 50 seconds to go before the first rider departs. And as I said just in the intro, Sam and Barry leading the league on an equal number of points, and of course there is a method calculated to allow for almost a secondary count back, depending on the number of races won at what level, if they should draw level. But that is even more complicated than anything I've seen in the World Cup, so quite how it all works out I'm not sure. But if Sam comes quite a bit ahead of Barry, he may well win, but at the moment Barry's got the very slight edge based on the number of points going back for different positions in the win. That looks like Andy Telford going off, or someone was going off there. Someone should be moving. Let's have a look. Can't see anyone yet. Let's see where Andy is. The countdown timer, oh no, it's just about to go. 10 seconds. I just saw someone creeping forward. No riders should be moving at this stage. They should all be waiting. A little bit tricky for those at the back of the field, but oh, I was wrong. Andy Telford should be moving. Where is he? Let's have a look up front and see if I could see him underway. Where are you, Andy? There he is. Andy Telford is now underway and is going to have a mass of people following behind him. He will, of course, try to stay away from all of them. Behind him will be Julian Poulter, who should be underway now. In fact, he is. There is Poulter, about a 40-second gap between those two. Yes, a 40-second gap, and he's on the par straight away. 4.1, 4.3 watts per kilo, and at a more leisurely 2.2. Next in the field should be Andrew Speck, who will be going very shortly. And after him, Pete Barlow, already at 0.4 kilometers for Poulter. Telford at 0.8, so that's a 400 meter gap between Telford and Poulter, so we'll try to keep an eye on that and see what happens. And who was that right behind him? I thought I saw someone. I could have sworn I saw another rider sneaking up behind Telford there, but it's not Poulter. So who it is? There's Speck underway. Someone else is moving though. It looks like not Chris Brackey. He's reporting at 2.4 watts per kilo, but he's not going anywhere, so it can't be him. Well, there is Speck at 500 meters into this course. 1 minute. And he is, you can see on your screen now, 1 minute 15 behind Telford, 46 behind Poulter. Pete Barlow should be underway. Let's have a look at his time. Oh, Pete Barlow is next, yes. in about 30 seconds time. No, I lie. Oh yes, no, sorry, beg your pardon. He is underway, should be underway. There he is, right behind Spec. That is Mr. P. .BCC for the Astros, Pete Barlow. 2 minutes 19 behind Telford. Next to start will be Tom Langen at 1:56.20, another 20 seconds to go. Having a look down the list, make sure no one is sneaking off early. I will find you if you're thinking about it. No one yet. Telford at 1.6 kilometres, I beg your pardon. That was 1.9 watts per kilo I saw. 1.6k, Pete Barlow at 700 metres. Tom Langen, I was talking about, should be underway as well. There he is, just started. 3.4 watts per kilo. There are some tactics involved in this. It's quite hard riding by yourself solo, as the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders are currently doing. Of course, riders are entitled to, or allowed, to ride in groups. There may be some tactics going on in the main bunch, trying to protect either Barry or Sam. I've seen that kind of manoeuvre before, so we'll see what happens there. So do these riders try to catch up with the person in front and form a group ahead, or do they drift back and catch perhaps a faster group behind and move forward? I think we'll see all the different variations tonight. So Langen underway. Peter Jones should be underway as well now. There he is. Peter Jones at 3.4 watts per kilo. I can hear a dog barking in the background there, but listen, sorry about the woolly hat, but the heating's not on at the moment. Peter Jones, 0.4 kilometres, 4 minutes 15 seconds behind Telford, currently leading the field. The gap between Telford and Poulter is 16 seconds. Too early to catch sight of someone in front. Paul Chandler, is he moving? Putting out an impressive 5 watts per kilo, just dropped down to 4. He is now underway. Then following him will be Al Watts in about 10 seconds, or he should be moving now in fact. There he is, Al Watts underway. This is roughly a fifth of the way through the field. I can see Bracky still sitting on the start line there, itching to get going, but I think he's starting last. He is indeed. In fact, the last few riders to start will be in reverse order. Bracky, Rowland, Jury, Davis, Lancier, Charles. That's where the battle is going to be. And across those riders I've just mentioned, 10, 20, 30, 40. It's only a 30-second gap from the first to the last. So Bracky is very capable of bridging a gap, and ahead of him Rowland and Jury, so I suspect he'll try that early on. So Al Watts now underway, half a kilometre in. He will be followed now by Tom Hall, who should be underway at half a kilometre, 3.5 watts per kilo. And Measham now moving at 300 metres. Following rapidly behind him will be Sampson. This will be an interesting gap to see. 23 seconds at the moment. And then we have, who do we have next? That's Sampson. Should be Albert May. Can't see him on the start list. But next up is Wilkinson. At Gavin, 0.2 kilometres. Might be his first handicap race. I can't remember if he did one last time or not, but if you did, apologies, but nonetheless now underway. And behind him, let's see, Marcus Stoneham. Now this is where the real test comes in. Some of these riders, of course, are strong towards the finish, but this 22k is not a long course and fairly flat, so suits the TT type rider. Should play into the hands of Lancia. Following now Marcus Stoneham, Quigley and Doyle. Well, Doyle seems to be ahead of Quigley. Let's have a look. I'm assuming they started at least according to the start list, Quigley started 10 seconds ahead of Doyle. So if he's moved, let's have a look. Get this the right way round. Yes, Quigley started 10 seconds ahead of Doyle, but now Doyle is 11 seconds ahead of Quigley and is catching up with Stoneham by the looks of it. So he's the first rider to show any signs of moving up the field and is flying at the moment, just about to pass Stoneham. Stoneham sees him coming but can't respond. There he goes. Will he try and sit on his wheel? I don't think so. Doyle's just gone flying past. Wonder how his start position was calculated, but nonetheless, let's keep an eye on Doyle. He is riding very well at the moment and certainly faster than his teammates around him. Shannon should be underway. Easy to spot, just having gone past, who's he gone past? Ray, is it, I think? Can't be, no. Gone past someone. Sees ahead of him Tom Kerr. 4 seconds ahead, and that's Quigley up ahead, and then Stoneham. So Shannon has got a good view of what's going on ahead of him. Moving further back in the field now. So Shannon, has he moved up? No, Kerr, in fact, is... In fact, there are 11. No, he's caught up. That's what it's happening. Kerr's caught up with Shannon by the looks of it. But anyway, Keith Bray underway. Should be followed by Mark Jury. Can't see him. After Jury, Alan Nixon. I can see him moving on the screen now. 1.1 kilometres in with... who's that in front of him? Oh, I missed who that was. Melvin just gone backwards. And then we have Chris Reed. Someone stopped. Don't know who that is. Is that Tamsin Booth? Might be. No, that's Tamsin there. Not sure who that was. Stopped on the course. Try and work it out. There we go again. Was it Melvin? If we go further back, we might catch who it is. There's Ware Melvin. I can't see who it is. It's happening too quickly. But there is that rider in the distance. Oliver White on screen, 1.2k. Followed by McQueen. Then Ware, just about to be overtaken by Civitar by the looks of it. Caught up with his, I was going to say Minuteman, but that's not the case here. In fact, Civitar sensibly seems to be sitting behind Ware. Ware's a big rider, so it might be a great tactic for him. Fresh from cyclocross racing yesterday. Hopefully has the legs to compete here as well. And then 43 seconds behind Civitar Campbell. Just overtaking McLaughlin by the looks of it. Indeed. And the two of them, let me have a look at the start order. McLaughlin started 5 seconds ahead of Campbell. Now Campbell pulling ahead. And we've got Steve White, a rare appearance, but fancies obviously himself in this particular format race, 3.7 kilometres. He has started with, let's have a look, 1:49.50, just ahead of Melvin, who we've seen on screen. I think Melvin probably has gone early by the looks of it, but I'm not certain. And Gary Empson, is Gary Empson here? Gary Empson is here. Campbell started ahead of Empson, and now White is ahead. Sorry, I've got that the wrong way around. Let me just double check. Yes, Empson started 10 seconds ahead of Steve White and is now 12 seconds behind another rider fresh from cyclocross yesterday. Worked at virtually maximum heart rate for the whole race yesterday, so he may be suffering a little bit. Right behind him though is Matt Beaver. He was also at the cyclocross yesterday, but not riding, just watching, but standing out there in that cold weather. I hope he has recovered. And the gap between him and, let's see, White, 20 seconds I think. 20 seconds, something like that. Martin Wales now underway. Now we get to the big riders. Let's just move quickly through there. Martin Wales with Beaver in his sights. Bit of a gap to Charles. But they're now amassing. So we've got Charles, Lancia, Skoular, Davis. Davis is 18 seconds behind Lancia. So let's have a look at that. 18 to Davis. We will keep an eye on that one. Jury, what's she up to? So Davis, as you can see, currently by himself. Lancia, but Davis is holding more watts than Lancia at the moment, but that's something to watch for. But Lancia may be working with these other riders, I am not sure. But if he is, looks as if he's just going off the front now. But if he is, they need to up this pace a little bit, because Davis is looking quite good at the moment, though the gap has increased to 19 seconds and he is by himself. And behind him, 23 seconds further back, we have Jury at 2k. Brachy is now underway and has already caught Roland. And past him, let's just see what the time gap is there. The mouse has gone a bit all over the place. There we are. Roland. Let's see what's happening. So Roland on screen. Brachy 3 seconds ahead, and Jury 2 seconds ahead of Brachy at the moment. So coming back to the main event of this evening, not to take away from anyone else of course, but just looking at that time, and the time between Lancia and Davis has gone up to 24 seconds. Not quite sure if this is based, the results are purely, sorry, what I should have said is the results are purely positional. First rider across the line wins. Skoular just suddenly jumped up to 8 or 9 watts there, but so while Lancia is pulling away from Davis, he needs to put some more riders between him and Davis. At the moment there's only one, so really if he can work with Charles, mind you, Charles may well be, I don't know if they're in the same team or not, no they're not. Charles may well have a tactic to slow him down, I don't know, but he's riding well. 4.6 watts per kilo, as is Lancia. Davis is pushing it up to 6 watts per kilo up this slight incline, but is now has a 26 second gap. So let's move back up to the front of the field, see how Telford is doing. Looks as if he has been overtaken by Poulter very early on in the race. Missed when that happened, of course. Poulter now 30 seconds ahead of Telford at 7.4 kilometers in. And next up it should be Speck, if the order has stayed the same. It has. There is Speck, only 11 seconds behind Telford, 42 behind Poulter. And then earlier I mentioned Pete Barlow, and the gap between him and Telford was 2:19. It is now 49 seconds, so Barlow is also motoring. Jones has overtaken Langen. And it looks as if Al Watts is pushed ahead of Chandler, who's now behind him. Who's that sitting? just sitting right in his wheel, but the gap between those two on the start line was 10 seconds, so they may switch back and forward. Let's see how Doyle is doing. Doyle riding with, I'm assuming this is just waiting for Swift to settle down. Wilkinson, can't be Ray, no, must be Doyle. Yes, so Doyle, oh there is Samson, sorry, I thought it was Empson just with the abbreviated end of the name. So Samson, Doyle and Wilkinson riding together. So the one climb in this, not really particularly significant, may well make a difference at this speed though. 2.8, it's the castle, one of the castle climbs, 2.8%, 3.2 kilometers long. Now, let's move back through the field. Ware riding with White now. Civitar and McQueen by the looks of it. In fact, quite a large group of riders here. I'm not sure if it's one. So we've got Reed, McQueen, Civitar, Shannon's in there as well. The power up came out from someone. 5 riders with, who's that sneaking up behind? Someone else about to catch onto this bunch as well. That would be a great move if they can. Can't see who it is, but let's try and work it out. Could be Quigley, not Stoneham. Could be Nixon actually. So we seem to have Nixon, Civitar, Reed, McQueen, Ware and Kerr maybe, and no, not Kerr, he's with Ray and White, that's who it was. No, it wasn't. White and Ware together catching up with Kerr and Ray. And then we get back to this group of Quigley, Shannon, Stoneham, Reed. I do love that beacon over Mark's head. And to give you some idea, let me just see if I can work out what the gaps were between them. Not huge, about 20 seconds at most, so looks like a well-paced group. There is behind Stoneham now in this group. Next rider is Booth. There she is. And then we've got Campbell and McLaughlin together. In fact, there's Empson. Been looking for him for a while. So Empson, Charles, Beaver, Lancia, Wales, gaining rapidly on White ahead. This could form into quite a useful group for Lancia. Gap to Davis is 33 seconds, so is growing. Davis is with someone else though. Skoular's just overtaken him. Might be going to help. They're in the same team. Might be furiously messaging each other at this stage. And if anything I can tell you is that the handicaps, of course, are based on results, performance. There's a certain guesswork, but I've no doubt that Davis, if erring on caution, it will go in his favour. And against Lancia or anyone else he's trying to beat. Not suggesting that he's in any way been influenced by these things, but I'm sure it happens, just subliminally, if nothing else. Whatever the algorithm is, it's complex and makes the trying to work out who's moving through to the next round of the World Cup rather easy, and I can't work that out, so good luck. So it looks as if Roland is at the back of the field with Jury. Brachy has not made the break, as I thought he might at this stage. But the question is, are these three gaining on the very front of the field? They've got 21 seconds to catch, 20 seconds now to catch Davis, so they may well be. And in fact, if these riders pass Davis, that will increase the number of riders between Davis and Lancia, although Lancia, of course, will want to finish ahead of this bunch, even if it is pretty much on the same time. It is, of course, a positional race. First across the line, based on the handicap. And then talking about the line, let's not forget what's going on up at the front, halfway through, just about. Poulter still in the lead by 15 seconds now. Gap has come down. It looks as if Telford has been closing that gap. Speck 5 seconds behind Telford. That is Telford ahead of him on screen right now. And Pete Barlow, is now 21 seconds behind Telford, 38 behind the leader. You can see, just looking at that aerial shot, that is Speck just ahead of him, 2 bends away. Excuse me. So the gap fairly constant. Jones still moving up through the field, has passed, let's just have a look at the start time for Courtier. He may well be moving through the field. In fact, he is by the looks of it. His start time was 1:50.20. Currently behind Jones, who started at 1:55.50. So this could be the rider to watch for the overall win. So Courtier to Poulter, 1:29. Just making a note, I missed him moving up quickly through the field, but at 4.14 watts per kilo. Hold on, this is a bit puzzling. It says he's only completed 1.2 kilometers. Did he start early? Has he completed a lap already? I don't, unless Zwift is reporting this incorrectly. It says he's been running for 3 minutes 48 seconds. I can't believe that's right. Something's gone wrong there. So I'll see what happens with him, but I'll ignore him for the moment. Watts, Langen and Chandler all together. And those 3 riders, well, Watts and Chandler started pretty much together. They started, though, about 30 seconds behind Langen. And we've got Doyle, this group, Doyle, Sampson, Wilkinson, Measham. Further back, White and Ware. This group has grown in size as well. We have White. Who do we have? Ware, Ray, Kerr, White. And is Chris Reed there? No, he's 9 seconds further back. So this is the other group. Chris Reed pushing off the front, or trying to. Not sure at 10k, quite the right strategy, but sitting behind him, Civitar, McQueen, Quigley, Nixon, Shannon. Nixon performing particularly well there. Shannon, easy to spot, of course, with the beacon. And now we get into the main field. And look at this bunch. It has grown. White has been caught. We now have McLaughlin, White, Lancia, Charles, Empson. Who else is in here? 9 riders. Beaver, I'm assuming. No, Beaver has been dropped. I think this group, there might be 2 groups here, one overtaking the other. But the key number at the moment in terms of the league win, and I shouldn't be focusing on just that, but be nice to see Davis not take home the league trophy for once. The gap between him and Lancia, let's see if we can work that out. There is Lancia at 11.1 kilometers, and Davis is now 1 minute 11 seconds behind Lancia at 10.5k. So right now the league win is for Lancia to lose, if we put it that way. Maybe Davis is letting him win, I don't know. But he's sitting with another good rider, Skoular there, just going past him. Two of them could work together. Roland's only 9 seconds further back, along with Brachy and Jury. Has the gap with them closed? I don't... yes, it has. So they are now only 13 seconds behind Davis. Not close by much, by 5 seconds, I think, since I last reported. So entirely possible they will catch him. Whether they stay ahead of him is another question. Davis may well take advantage of a larger group coming up behind and try and sit on the wheel. But I'm very interested to see O'Stoneham Booth in there as well. Campbell. So this is a large group of quite disparate riders and abilities. And I hope Lancia is keeping an eye on Davis behind, because if he wants to win the league, that should be his focus, not the riders around him. Although hopefully they are working at a pace that he finds sufficient to get a win. And at 165 beats on the heartbeat, he is not hanging around. He is pushing hard. It's a big rider, don't forget. That's a high heart rate. Campbell, not quite as tall, but another large rider. You can see he's at 151. Charles, on the other hand, a much smaller rider at 169. And here we have our line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stretching out. Nixon, White, Reed, McQueen, Civitar, Ware, Shannon, I think, is in there as well, and Quigley. 13k. And back up at the front. Do we have any changes? We do indeed. It looks as if Barlow is... Let's have a look from Barlow's viewpoint. At 14.8k, 10k left to go. Barlow at 160 on the heart. He is pushing hard. 2.6, 2.7 watts per kilo. Only 4 seconds behind Poulter. Telford has moved now into 5th place. And is in fact started with, what was the advantage at the start? Was it over a minute? I think it was. 40 seconds. He was started 40 seconds ahead of Poulter and is now 40 seconds behind him as he just moves on to the bar tops there for a bit of a rest. And Jones, our current national champion, is performing very nicely as well and continues to move up through the field. He's got Peter Jones in his Peter Barlow in his sights. So this is where it starts to get interesting. 15.4k in. Pete Barlow, let's get that on camera, moves into the lead in the season's handicap finale race. I think it might be a long time since he's been in first position in a cycle race, but there he is right now. But Poulter brings out a power up and responds. I'm not sure that was a great move. Perhaps should have just rested for a bit behind Barlow. And he brings out another power up. So clearly he wants to stay there, but I don't think Barlow's going to give up that easily. Both riders start to pile on the watts. Poulter up to 4.7, Barlow holding consistent at 3. And he sits down in the drops. Not something you see in the road very often, but he's in the drops now. Telford now 53 seconds further back, and let's have a look, see what's happening further back in the field. So Wilkinson and co around him. We've got, let's have a look. So this is now another group that has come together. Sampson on screen at the moment, but in this group, Doyle, Sampson, Chandler, Watts, Hall. Did I see Langan? Chandler, anyone I missed? I think that's it. It's bound to be someone else in there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders. Wilkinson was another one I think I mentioned. Hall at the back of this group. And then the next group up is now being led by Ware and Civita, with Kerr, Oliver White, McQueen, Reed, Nixon. Is the next group at 15.4k, 24 minutes in. And then the Lancia group, it must be called. As you can see, Lancia, Wales, Charles, McLaughlin, Campbell, Empson, White, all in here. Many a strong rider. Stoneham has found a slot in there as well. Shannon is Shannon? No, I think that's just the way Empson, the way Zwift suddenly changed. Oh no, Shannon can see the group ahead, so he's trying to bridge that gap. Not quite enough power to do so. The group ahead is pushing out more power and pulling away at the moment. But behind Shannon we have Ray, then Booth, then Beaver seems to have lost the pace a bit. Not quite sure what's happened with him. There's Davis now, so the gap between Davis and Davis still pushing hard. In fact, Davis has been overtaken. Who's he been overtaken by? Ah, yes, Davis has been overtaken by Bracky, Jury and Rowland. So he is at the rear of the field at this stage. 2.1 walks per kilo, 1.7. That something's not right here. I can't believe he's just throwing in the towel to let Lancia win. That would be unfathomable in my mind. Perhaps he has a mechanical. Perhaps he's been nobbled by someone. Who knows? But he doesn't look happy. The win is still in Lancia's hands to lose. This is going to be a tight finish. There are going to be bunches of riders arriving at the finish line together by my very rough calculations. 18 kilometres for Pete Barlow, at 18 kilometres. 7 seconds ahead of Poulter. He has broken him down. Poulter has not managed to hold on. Riding very nicely. Looking strong in the drops. Almost all the climbing completed, about another 14 metres to go, which will be nothing for a man of this calibre. But Jones is still moving forward. 14 seconds behind Barlow, 13 seconds now. He's pushing out 1 watt more per kilo. He knows it, he can see it. He's a master at timing things. He can see Poulter ahead of him. That is the next rider he's going to catch. There is Poulter. Any sign of Barlow? Not yet. Too windy at this stage. Might get him in one of the longer straights, but this is one of the very windy sections of the course. There he is with Poulter. About to go past him. Barlow's only 10 seconds ahead. Barlow has gone down to 1.4 watts per kilo. Has he blown it? Poulter staying very consistent, 2.4. Barlow's back on the par. Might have just been a slight downhill section there. Heartbeat still consistent, 220 watts. Now Jones has got the win in his sights. Can he hold back the mass of riders gathering behind him? Well, Poulter could still be a threat. I don't think Speck will be, but it's the group with Doyle, Wilkinson, Watts, Measham that are a challenge. But along with, if we look a little bit further back, this group here are now only about a minute behind Pete Barlow. And this can only be described as the main peloton at this stage in the race, 18.4 kilometers. Langen just dropping off a little bit on the back there. But behind them, there is another group coming up fairly quickly. And that is this group, being led by Lancia, pushing out ahead. You can see the group ahead now, or at least Nixon, is Nixon still with him? Yes, Nixon is there. Nixon just been overtaken, dropped off that group ahead. And that the group in front is 18 seconds ahead. Entirely possible. The Lancia group putting out more power than the group ahead, including Charles, Campbell, Stoneham, Mempson, Wales, McLaughlin, some strong riders here. Lancia certainly not giving in by any stretch of the imagination. And they've gone past Telford now. So this, at 19.1k, we start to get interesting. And what's happening up the front? So Barlow, 3 seconds ahead of Jones, with 4k to go. It could not be closer. But chasing Peloton 1, now down to 1 minute 8 seconds back. So Barlow needs to keep the pressure on, but by my very rough calculations, if he holds this pace, he will take the win, assuming he can stay ahead of Jones, and that is by no means a certainty, because there is Jones right behind him. Jones, forever the champion, will be looking for another win. That gap is down to 1 second. Let's get the view from Jones's perspective. There is Jones. 3.4 watts per kilo. He sees Barlow ahead of him. The two Peters. What's he going to do? Chasing group now down to 1 minute with 4k left to go. .15 seconds per kilometre the group behind needs to gain, which is possible. Bit of an ask, but there is Jones, moves into the lead. Barlow not giving up though by any means. Back on the power. He is not going to let him go. Some PRs coming out on this section of the course. No great surprise at this speed. Still just 1 second ahead of Pete Barlow. Might come down to a sprint. Chasing group down to 52 seconds. 3k left to go. It's getting interesting. And in fact, groups 1 and 2 are almost upon each other as well. But they are by the looks of it. Now, in fact, there is the second group behind. So they are going to merge together into a group of about 25 riders by the looks of it, very, very roughly. We'll just see the... so Lancia 2 seconds behind the group ahead. Can we see? No, we can't see. Let's not forget the finish. 48 seconds ahead of the chasing group. 52 seconds ahead of the chasing group. Pete Barlow, Pete Jones, neck and neck. 2 kilometres to go. 39 minutes and 43 seconds of racing. Heartbeat for Barlow 165 and Jones 150. Slightly older rider, but that's a good heart rate he's holding. It gives me an indication of how hard he's pushing, and the answer simply is very. And there we go, 6.1 watts per kilo from Jones. He's trying to break Barlow, but Barlow is not giving in. I suspect he may well try that again. In fact, Barlow is trying to go from the front. Jones, I suspect, will not let him get away, but sit there for a bit. Chasing group down to 40 seconds. Unlikely that they will catch, but they have to be careful. Ware goes up to 8 watts per kilo. Samson, 8.3 watts per kilo. They're all up to 8 watts per kilo. I'm not sure what's going on behind. Let's have a look and see. Was that the finish? No finish line. Right. So that was the finish then. Lancia, let's get... So Lancia seems to be... Yes, that was the finish. The important thing is... Let's move further back in the field. Sorry about that. I did realise there was no finish marked, but I didn't realise where it was. So it looks to me as if Lancia has won. And all the riders winding down. 22k. The course is 24, so not sure. Let's just have a look at the front. Just make sure everyone has stopped. So did Barlow get it right on the line? I'm not sure. They will be able to tell us. But Barlow, Jones, Measham, White, Wales, Empson going for a cool down. Kerr, Campbell, Civita, Sampson, Stoneham, Watts, White, Wilkinson, McQueen. No one's still racing by the looks of it. Nixon. No, Nixon is not. I think that's it. Looks like it. So sorry, the end didn't quite pan out as I intended. That sometimes happens. But hopefully we'll get some idea from the results and a combination of the video who the actual final winner was. But thank you all for watching. One more race. This is the end of the league, but is the South Bucks Diamond Cup, I think, on the 8th between Beaconsfield, Amersham, Marlow, and who else? Wickham. So hope to see you all there. Thanks for watching.